Hi everybody, it's me Arden Lee. I am back with another video, and in today's video I want to talk about this idea of alignment. This is something that we hear a lot, right? We hear about getting into alignment. We hear about aligning ourselves with the things that we want to create, that we want to attract, that we want to receive. And all of this is great. But I feel like sometimes, especially in certain communities, especially around spirituality, there's this kind of like spiritual bypassing kind of flavored dismissiveness around alignment, where people are like, oh, well, if you were just in alignment, it wouldn't be a problem, right? And, while there is truth to the idea of alignment, it's thrown around so dismissively, so reductively, that I think we're at a point where not a lot of people understand what getting into alignment really means and what it takes. There are things, you guys, that I am creating in my life right now that it has taken me years that I'm still getting into alignment for, and that it's taken me years to get there. And there are things that I may still have years to go on. It's not as simple as making this instant shift within your mind and then immediately everything flows, right? We need sometimes steps to get there. We can take big leaps at times, but at times if we push ourselves too hard, this is when we burn out, right? This is when it's like we're running too much of an electric current and we blow an amp, right? We blow a speaker. We run too much power through something and we just completely frizz ourselves out. We just fry our nerve endings. So we don't want to do that. Of course we want to make big leaps into the futures that we want. Obviously that's why we're here. I'm sure that's why you're watching this video for some, for whatever reason. I'm sure that there are things that you're looking to create that you want to get into alignment for, right? But it's not, it's not that it's difficult. It's just that it's not as easy as people who sort of just throw it out there and, well, if you were in alignment, this wouldn't be a problem, right? Like we hear that, right? We hear that sometimes. There's that flavor of that going around. And I would wager that people who use it that way maybe there's a dearth of understanding of what alignment really is in, lately when we were using that word a little too much. So I want to expand on that. I want to talk about alignment because so much of it is what I teach and what I facilitate. Speaking of which, I'm the creator of the Repatterning Project. It is an 8-week course in which we hack our beliefs, we backwards engineer, our conscious habits and our mindsets. Given the results that we want to get, we backwards engineer, what do we need to believe? How do we need to repattern ourselves in order to get the results that we want, and not the sort of stuck results that we've been getting for a while, right? How do we break those cycles and get into that place of sovereignty, of completely creative freedom? So if that sounds like your jam, go ahead and check out the description box. I have linked to a free PDF guide about the Repatterning Project. I also have a link to the Repatterning Parlor. That is the Facebook group that I moderate. We would love to see you there. All the people who are in that group are amazing individuals who are committing to a path where they are really examining their patterns and making new choices for themselves from a conscious place in order to improve their lives. And it's super exciting to see. So come join us. Come be one of us. Assimilate. Resistance is futile. So, all right. So I want to talk about alignment. I want to talk about alignment today. Essentially, what does it mean to get into alignment? I'm going to use money as an example here, because money is one of those concrete things that everyone thinks that they want, but that very few of us really are prepared to deal with. In many ways, my former self included. I say former because I'm expanding into more and more alignment with my finances all the time. So let me just speak that into reality, put myself a little further on the path there. Certainly it's still something I'm working on, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing those steps, going forward. Because again, I'm pretty sure that if something just happened tomorrow, would I know how to manage it? There are these stories, we hear stories all the time of people who receive, they win the lottery or they receive these large sums or inheritances. I've seen people do this, and then they make choices with it that they absolutely regret later on, because even though, they've gotten lucky and they've had this money come in, they don't know what to do with it, and then they lose it, just as quickly. they make choices that with it that I wouldn't want to say poor choices because everything's a choice, whatever, but choices that don't allow them to hang on to that money and don't really expand them, that just kind of waste it away. And I have seen that happen, let me tell you, and it is not fun. Not from me, but anyway. So money is one of those things that anyone thinks that they're like, yeah, I'm ready for a ton of money to come into my life. That'd be great, right? But are you really? Are you really? Looking at the beliefs, if you received $100,000 tomorrow, what would you do with it, right? Are these things that you think about? Now, here's the question. If you're saying to the universe, I want $100,000 tomorrow, but I don't want to have to work for it. I don't want to have to imagine what it's like for me to actually create that $100,000 in income. I just want to receive it from like, hi, oh, hello, would you like to come say hi? This is Edgar, everyone. I'm going to be doing a video introducing him shortly, but he is my new familiar, and we are having a marvelous time getting to know one another. We really hit it off right away. Super funny to me that he's coming up and sitting exactly where Virgil used to sit, when I was making my videos. How funny, little Edgar. They say sometimes that your familiar is a spirit who essentially latches onto or inhabits your pets, but can transfer from one pet to another rather than being inherent to the personality of the pet. The familiar is almost sort of like, it sounds like really demonic when I say like a parasite and the pet is the host. It's not, it's not that destructive kind of relationship, but they say that it's kind of almost that dual consciousness kind of thing, where you have the personality of your pet, and then you have like the spirit of the familiar that's inhabiting. And I just think that's interesting that this is the first video he's witnessing me make, and here he comes up and jumps up exactly as Virgil used to and sits in the exact same spot. He has, this is really cute, you guys. He has a habit of just plopping, and it's really adorable. Okay, so sorry, let's get back to alignment. That's Edgar, my cat. All right. So if you're asking for the universe to just, have you win $100,000 in the lottery, have it just be a windfall, it's like that monkey's paw kind of thing. Like, where is this coming from? You can't just materialize things out of thin air. That's where we get, there's always a price to pay for something. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be a bad price, right? It just means that there has to be energy coming from somewhere. So certainly it could be a lottery ticket, absolutely, you can, but if you're asking for that $100,000 to come through the pipeline of the lottery, it's more difficult for spirit to get that to you, because there's so many people who are asking and praying for the same thing, right? When is it going to be your turn? So a better idea is and that's why everyone says they're ready for abundance, but if they're expecting it, everyone jumps to like, oh, well, if I just won the lottery, right? Because it seems like there's no effort involved beyond buying a ticket. But if that's the pipeline you're asking it to come through, what you're saying is, I'm not interested in or open to any of these other ways that this could come through. That's going to require a little more cooperation on my part. I need it to come through this one where there's no effort. And like I said, there's a lot of conflicting wills around that. Good luck, get in line. There are a lot of people praying to spirit for a lottery win. So, maybe your magic will make it to the top. Maybe you'll be that strong swimmer. But it's certainly it's certainly not where I would place my bets personally. So really, in order to receive that $100,000, you have to start saying, well, it's backwards engineering. It's saying, where can I imagine someone giving me $100,000? Where could I imagine, earning $100,000? One of the reasons I really like Alex Moscow's work is that he's a business coach, and he trains, he essentially trains coaches to be six-figure coaches. And one of the things he talks about is, he's like, let's break it down. If you want to make $100,000 in 6 months, say, you could be looking at selling 5 $20,000 packages. You could be looking at selling, 10 $10,000 packages. You could be looking at selling 20 $5,000 packages. You'd have to sell 100 $1,000 packages, but I suppose you could really hustle and do that. Although, as he puts it, there's just as much work going into selling a $20,000 package as there is a $1,000 package, so why not? Or he says, he's like, my favorite, just sell one $100,000 package and you're done. There you go, you've made it. He makes it really easy to imagine the mathematics behind how you can make this kind of money. And it's so simple, you guys. It's literally like I just did some basic multiplication for you. But how many of you had thought of it that way, right? So if you want that $100,000 and you're thinking, well, all right, what sounds like a good number to me? How about how about I try to sell 10 $10,000 packages, right? Well, who in my client network, do I think is ready for that kind of a level of investment? And if someone were to spend $10,000 investing in training with me, how would I show up for them to the value of $10,000? Which is a really fun exercise to think about. That sounds intimidating at first. Even when I said it, I felt that like, ooh, is that intimidating? Like to think about that. But that's actually really fun, right? It's where I'm kind of like getting my own mind, my own gears turning into offering one-on-one package that are designed less like, oh, let's just let's just get on the phone or whatever, like whenever you feel like you're having a crisis and you need to vent or whatever, and more like let's work consistently toward goals that are structured, and more like more like Queer Eye, more like Marie Kondo, where I really show up and I really get obsessed in the details of someone's life. Because if I'm being taken care of at that financial level, then I have the bandwidth to really get into, like, get my hands dirty, like, start obsessing over my clients the way that like I just have to like figure things out, and to really, really do that deep dive with them. I'm so excited about being able to offer that in the future. That's the thing I'm getting myself into alignment with now, right? So you see all the backwards homework I'm doing here, right? I'm doing this homework of, first of all, what blocks do I have around, receiving something like $100,000? What blocks, do I have? What would I do with it? Would I feel like my parents would judge me for it? No, actually, like I'm pretty lucky in that regard. My parents may not have I may not have had like, the rich dad, poor dad ideal, situation, but my parents would definitely be proud of me. They know what I'm doing in my business and they're rooting for me. So I have that on my side, I would be looking at that. I would be looking at all the things, all the beliefs and mindsets about, eat the rich people are awful or whatever. And there's a lot of that going on in America right now, to be fair. But that doesn't mean that I have to say that all rich people are awful, or that, I can subscribe to a belief for me that like, hey, if I'm rich, then I can even do more good in the world. Hey, that's great, right? It's fine, you guys. All my money is just going to be going toward my music anyway. So actually, I shouldn't cast that spell. All my money will be going toward my music until very shortly in the future, where my music starts to sustain itself and not be such an expensive thing anymore, where it starts to just, to just be its own thing that takes off. So anyway, yeah, these are all things that I'm thinking about, right? These are all ways that I'm backwards engineering this. And I've been working on this intention for just a little over a year now, just about a year actually. Just from the first time that I really set my intention of saying like, hey, I want to call in bigger numbers so I can, fund my music career without feeling like I'm exhausting myself all the time. I want to fund my music career from a place of ease and flow, and being like, that money just comes in and I'm valued for the work that I love doing anyway. So it's like, every day is a vacation kind of thing. So this is alignment, right? But like when I set that intention, it was about a year ago. And now, I've been working on, in that year, I've created my course. I've created, the repatterning project. By the way, I know you heard about it in the beginning of this video, and we do start our enrollment for, we are enrolling for our next course. We start June 30th. So if you're interested, reach out to me. I'm super, super stoked about this group that's coming together. Side note, it's going to be a really wild time of transformation. Edgar, you're being really crazy right now. You are running around. You are being rambunctious. They told me he was so shy, and he's not that, but he is very sweet. So as you can see, all of the things that it takes to become that person who just like, oh yeah, of course I have a client who signed up with me for $100,000. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of creating bandwidth within you. It takes a lot of believing in your own value to be able to give back in that way, right? It takes a lot of believing in yourself and trying to say like, well, what arrangement would have to happen for a person to spend $100,000 on me and be like, wow, that was really worth it? What kind of change would I have to create in that person's life to begin with? Who would they have to be to invest with me? And how am I going to cultivate those kind of relationships, right? And if you can't do like 100,000 yet, then start with 10,000 and do it 10 times, whatever that is. Start with 20,000 and do it 5 times, whatever, any of that basic math, right? But people like all the time, I remember telling a witch friend of mine about running my first witchcraft retreat, and I was like, yeah, and I made, this much money from it. And it was like, it was cool, and it was like, and this person was like, wow, I want to run that retreat. And I was like, okay, but here's what you also have to do. Here's the curriculum that you have to plan. Here's like booking the Airbnb, and here's like, here's some of the crisis management that you're going to have to solve. One of my participants got their car stuck in a snowbank, because we were up on Big Bear Mountain. It was snowing. We didn't know about snow chains. I had hired my friend Taz to be my logistics coordinator. She came to the day. These are all things that you need to learn in order to do that, right? And so once I said that to this person, they were like, oh, never mind. And I'm like, yeah, so you think it's going to be all fun and games, but all these things that you have to prepare for in order to call in this sum of money. Now you can also, of course, outsource, right? You can get to the point where you aren't doing all that nitty-gritty work anymore, but that's another step, right? Are you going to be ready right at the start of your business to have a team of 5 people? Probably not. That's something you also have to get into alignment for. That's something that, this is about expansion, right? This is about, oh my God, it's too cute. I can't handle it. This is about creating more room, creating more space for receiving. But I wanted to say this because it's like, people are like, if you would just get into alignment, and it's like, no, it's not that easy. So another example, and this video is already, at almost 17 minutes, so I'm not going to go on forever. I think the money was a really good concrete example. There's so many things that can be in the way of our receiving this money, and so many things that we need to shift in ourselves internally in order to call in that and feel like it's in alignment, that it's not a fluke, that we don't have imposter syndrome, right? That we are showing up completely confidently, adding value and receiving that money in return for whatever it is that we're offering, right? So there's that. But let's use romantic relationships. That's a little more nebulous, right? But one of the things about getting into alignment with romantic relationships is you have to actually be in alignment to receive the kind of love that you want. And so often, one of my problems, one of my core wounds was around feeling like I had to earn it, or else it was weird. Like I was just like, this is strange. This is not, this does not make sense to me. Like if I'm not working, if I'm not doing the majority of the work in the relationship, then somehow it feels fake. It feels too good to be true, right? So that actually was keeping me out of alignment with the kind of love that I wanted. It was such irony, right? It was like, what a slap in the face. Here I was working so hard for the kind of love that I wanted, and it was the very working, the idea that I had to work hard for it that was actually keeping me out of the love that I wanted. Because of course, love that is actually true and real is not going to value me for what I can do for someone. It's not going to be like, is it going to be reciprocal? Yes, but it's going to be in flow. It's not going to be transactional, right? It's not going to be something that I have to work for. And if I continue acting like I have to work for love, then I'm going to attract people who agree with me, who are like, yes, you do have to work for love. And then it ends up not being the kind of love that I want, right? So something that I've noticed in myself, and this has come up, it's like in cycles, it comes up in a small way, it comes up in a slightly bigger way, it comes up in a slightly bigger way, and bigger and bigger and bigger. I notice myself falling into this habit sometimes when something shows up for me, when I have a chance to receive something. Sometimes I block myself from it by trying to control it too much. Not even in like a mean way or whatever, but like it's like I'm afraid that it's gonna go away if I don't somehow, I don't know, like do something on my end to like lock it down, or not even in a commitment way, but like if I'm not controlling everything, right? If I'm not, I don't know, how do I describe this? How do I think of an example? Like if I don't immediately reciprocate, then you're gonna go away. What's actually something marvelous about Edgar is that there is no amount of petting or cajoling or coaxing that can make him decide when he wants to sit with you. It's such a lesson for me in receiving, because he actually comes up and sits with me all the time. And sometimes I can invite him and he'll stay. But if he doesn't want to stay, then he has no qualms. Like, he's super squirmy. He's like a squirmy cat, but he's squirmy with a lot, and he has a lot of autonomy, but he so often comes and just sits with me. And one of my impulses, like even with cats, is like, oh, you're here, let me keep petting you so you don't leave. I can't just relax. If I just relax, then you're just gonna go, right? So that's kind of a thing with cats sometimes. Like, I know that's common, and that's been such a, like, already he's been in my life like less than a week, and I'm learning this amazing lesson from him, you know, that he just sits next to me and he just sits there, and I can pet him if I want to, but it doesn't affect whether he's going to stay or not. So sometimes I'll receive love and I'll be like, I immediately have to do something for you, or else you're going to leave, right? Or I immediately, like, this is weird, let me reciprocate, like I feel uncomfortable about this. And ironically, that's keeping me exactly out of alignment with the love that I say I want. So I've been watching myself lately as I'm receiving these amazing blessings from seemingly out of the blue. And I'm like, there are things that I want to do, and I want to say, like, okay, well, let's do it this way, or let's do it this way, or whatever. And I look back and I'm like, Arden, let go. Like, if this wants to happen, it's going to happen. And you could stand to be a little more hands off in the things that you do. I had just been talking about with some of my friends and mentors recently, the habit that I had in my past relationships of always being the one who is responsible for doing the work. This was programmed into me. This was, well, you know, conditioned into me, shall we say. Programmed, but that makes it sound really insidious. It was conditioned, right? It was just a behavior that I learned, quote unquote, because my first long-term formative relationship was in a dominant submissive relationship with a dungeon owner, where I was also his employee, right? So I was constantly working on the relationship. If we were taking a vacation, it was going to be me who was making all the reservations and everything, you know, and he really convinced me that that was normal and useful, and that was one of the things that he valued me for. You know, especially since I was a submissive, and that was very sanctioned within the community. That was quite normal. So I was always like making the plans, making the arrangements, and if I didn't do it, I couldn't trust that it would get done. And I've carried that, like, if I don't do it, I can't trust that it's going to get done. Wow. I'm saying that, and my goodness, I didn't expect that to feel like such a bodily shift. I have carried the belief that if I don't do something, that I can't trust that it's going to get done for a very long time. And I'm watching as I have more opportunities now to actually be hands off and be like, nope, this'll happen. I just need to let it, you know, I just need to kind of get out of its way, you know, essentially. I don't really need to, I don't need to control the way things are happening. I can trust that even in sitting back, I'm going to be bringing my share to the table and doing what I need to do, but that I'm not controlling it out of the sphere of scarcity. It's amazing how much we, you know, pet the proverbial cat. I don't even mean that in a dirty way. But it's amazing how much we, like, you know, a cat comes to sit with us and we think, oh gosh, I have to pet you so you're going to stay. Right? Isn't that funny? Look, he's just here. He's not going anywhere. It's just remarkable. He's just going to sit where he wants to sit. Hi, you coming back now? This is incredible. See? I just don't have to do anything. So anyway, alignment. So there's a lot of steps that require us, you know, getting into alignment is not one of those things that we just snap our fingers, you know. It takes people and cats and clients and lovers and soul lessons to upgrade us and show us the shifts that we need to make. And sometimes those shifts are incredibly layered, right? The relationship that I want is getting into alignment for that is not just going to be about getting myself into alignment with receiving. It's going to be about a lot of other things too. Getting myself into alignment with, you know, receiving $100,000 in 6 months is not going to be, you know, figuring out what kind of packages I'm going to offer, and that's going to be a big chunk of it. But, you know, there's other beliefs that I'm going to have to look at too. These are very layered things. What's in the way? What's in the way? What's in the way? When you remove the first thing that's in the way, that's like, okay, what's in the way now? Like, we're closer, but we're not there yet. So what's in the way next? What's in the way next? We keep stripping away these layers. You know, this is why this transformation is a shedding, right? We shed these layers like a lutemoth. So alignment is not one of just those things that you just like, oh, just get into alignment or whatever. And if people are speaking about it that way to you, just don't take it personally, because they probably don't know what they're talking about. And anyone who's being dismissive of you and the hard work that it is to get into alignment. And trust me when I say that sometimes the most advanced souls have actually taken on the most programming to transmute. Yes, we have to do it, of course, but sometimes we have to really, we got a lot to move. You look at Russell Brand and you look at all the the stuff that he went through, all the bad decisions that he made, and now he's really able to shine as this sort of light of recovery for the world that is also very relatable because he's been there, and it's very cool. So so don't feel discouraged if you feel like you have a lot. You could have signed up for the extra workload when your soul chose to come on this journey. So that could very well be a big part of why actually precisely what makes you special and what makes you excellent. So so do not shy away from that hard work of getting into alignment. Also, don't get attached to the idea that it has to be hard work, but just understand that generally, if you are shedding a lot of programming, there are going to be a lot of layers, and just go through them one at a time at whatever pace you can do without burning out. And that is alignment. If something is simple, it may not take us as long to get into alignment. I got into alignment with Edgar very, very quickly, which was lovely. I'm going to do a video about that story too. But but a lot of other things, like I said, they take time. So thank you for listening. I hope that this was helpful. Come join us in the repatterning parlor. Come join us for the course, the repatterning project. We start June 30th. Reach out to me if you are looking to get into alignment and know what are those layers that you need to shed. What is in the way? And what's in the way after that? And after that, I can help you with that. So trust me, with my brain, we will definitely figure out together. So thank you guys. I will see you next time.